Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach. Shiur Torah. Bezrat Hashem will have an interesting shiur. If you guys have questions, please ask. That gives me more things to talk about. I want to talk about what you're interested in, not what I'm interested in. Because if what you're interested in is going to get you closer to Hashem, what I'm interested in may not. So, in Parashat Nitzavim, which we read a couple of weeks ago, Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, "Ki ha-mitzvah azot asher anochi metzavecha hayom, lo nifleti mimecha, v'lo rechoka hi." He says, for this commandment that I command you, which in essence he's talking about the entire Torah, it's not hidden from you, and it's not distant, meaning it's not so hard to be a Jew. It's not so hard to do mitzvot. So why are so many people having such a hard time? Why is it that 80% of Am Yisrael, some say maybe a little less to give some zchut, maybe 75%, whatever the number is, it's a majority, don't keep Shabbat. Don't keep Shabbat. Why do I mention Shabbat? How come I'm not mentioning kosher? How come I'm not mentioning something like a tefillin, or something like putting a kippah, or growing a beard, or any of those other things, which, by the way, a beard is not an obligation in Judaism. There's something called chesed, which means that it brings goodness to a person, but it's not a obligation out of the 613 mitzvot. Why is it that Shabbat is the critical point of what makes a Jew a Jew? Hashem gave us the 10 commandments, and He said the first 3 commandments, He said that it's between us and Him. He's the only God, don't have any other gods, and don't have any idols. But then the 4th commandment is Shabbat, observe the Shabbat. The 5th commandment, it's respect your parents. The 6th commandment is don't murder, and so on. Which shows, if you look at the order, it shows that it's an order of importance. Meaning that if you think there's more than one God, then obviously Shabbat is not relevant to you. If you think there's more than one God, who cares if you respect your parents or not? You're already somebody that doesn't think clearly. So Hashem says the number 1 is to make sure you know there's only one God. That's a beginning point. Having an idol, also a big violation. So someone that has an idol, they go to Chinatown, they buy it for $5. They put it in their house because they think that Buddha, the fat Buddha statue, is nice looking. Like, unfortunately, a lot of Israelis, for some reason, are very attracted to Buddha. Not allowed. It's so bad that if a friend or someone you know has a Buddha statue in their house, you're not allowed to go in their house.
What if it's like a painting?
A painting of a god, of like a fake god?
A painting of, let's say, China.
No, a painting of China, no. But if it's a painting... But if it's a painting, Buddha is considered a false god. So, when you have something like that, then it's clearly something that makes Hashem upset. And therefore, you're not even allowed to walk, as a Jew, as a kosher Jew, you're not even allowed to walk into the house. So Jonathan and I were talking earlier today, we had a really interesting conversation, which gave me this idea, Baruch Hashem, to talk about it now. Why does Hashem care? Why does Hashem care if you have a Buddha statue you bought for $5 in Chinatown? Why does He care? He's Hashem. He's everything. Okay, so I bought a Buddha statue for $100, $1,000, or $5. People think it's nice. Some fat guy, half naked, sitting on the middle of their living room, they think it's nice. Everybody has their taste. Why does Hashem care that you have a statue? Why does Hashem care so much that people idol worship? They're stupid. They idol worship. They take a statue, they make it, Avraham Avinu. His father, before he did tshuva, was making statues.
אבל הם עשו סטאצ'ו במדבר, ואת העגל.
Yeah.
והוא בגלל זה רצה להשמיד את כולם.
Exactly. Why? Why does he care so much?
I don't know why.
Why does he care so much?
I don't know
Why does he care so much? Yeah, it's a good question, right? Yeah. He's everything already. What do you care? Okay, it's a fake God.
Very upset.
Very upset. He almost wanted to destroy the whole nation. He said to Moshe Rabbeinu, let me keep you and destroy everyone else. I'll start a new nation, a better nation.
Yeah.
A better nation than this one, and I'll start it with you. But Moshe Rabbeinu, the tzaddik, says, no, if you're going to destroy them, erase me from your book. Erase me first.
Yeah.
Erase me first so I don't have to go to Shamayim and be embarrassed in front of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And they're going to say, oh, that's the leader they had. That's the leader they had where they all failed and they all died because of him, because he didn't lead them the right way. Baruch haba. So we have a question. Hashem says, if you have an idol in a house, someone has a Buddha statue in a house, you're not allowed to go into that house. Why does Hashem care if someone has an idol? Like she was saying before, why did Hashem get so mad about the Egel? They built, they saw the miracles, they saw Hashem's words and sounds in the sky, they saw the miracles in Mitzrayim. He destroyed the biggest nation in the world, much, much bigger than America is today. They saw big miracles, but then they made a statue, or the Erev Rav made the statue. There was a lot of miracles involved in it, but long story short, the point is, why does Hashem care about an idol? Why? Anyone have any answers? Hashem, the Torah Tasod, the secret part of the Torah, explains Hashem as He is technically everything. Now, the literal part of the Torah says that when Hashem created Adam HaRishon, He took a piece of Himself, Hashem took a piece of Himself, and put it into Adam HaRishon. Meaning that Hashem was part of Adam HaRishon. Now we know also that from Adam HaRishon, the souls of the entire world come from him. Everyone. You, me, Arafat, everyone. The good and the bad. Everyone comes from the first soul. Everyone. Everyone from Adam HaRishon. There was no Adam HaSheni. There was Adam HaRishon. That's it. Everyone comes from Adam HaRishon. So Hashem took a piece of Himself and put it inside you. Put it inside you. Hashem wanted to make sure that you know that He created you. Now, how do we prove this scientifically? Everyone always wants to know, if you're in the painting business, who made the painting? If I made the painting, they're going to pay $5 for it. Maybe. Probably $2. Just because the paper, they could probably use it again. But if Picasso made it, there's a story about Picasso. One time a woman sees Picasso in a coffee shop, and she says, "Oh, Picasso, I admire you so much. You're so amazing. Please, draw something for me." So he takes the pen. 2 minutes, he draws a little drawing, and he's handing it to her. She says, "Oh, yeah, great." "No, wait, hold on a second. $10,000. Because what $10,000? It took you 2 minutes. Because no, it took me 60 years. 60 years to build a name. To be Picasso. So now Picasso makes a painting. If he makes a painting, what does he do? He writes his name. Writes his name. He signs his name on the bottom of the painting. Right? So Hashem also wrote his name. Question is, do we know how to find it? Baruch Hashem, as the generations have advanced in age from Chazal to us, we've gone down in one way, but we've also, Hashem has supplemented it in another way, meaning that the less brain and connection we have with God, the easier He's making it for us to find Him. In 1983, there was a scientist that, his name escapes me right now, but moved from Venezuela to Israel to do research on DNA. DNA. And he's looking at DNA. DNA is pretty much the genetic makeup of everything. Everything has DNA. Every living species has a DNA. Whether it's a plant or it's a living being like a human being, or a shark, or a cat, or a dog. Everyone has a DNA of some kind. Okay? So he's looking at DNA, and in 1986 he makes a very big discovery. He realizes that the DNA foundation of everything is the same. Meaning that whether it's a cat, or it's a dog, or it's a shark, or it's a bat, or it's a monkey, or it's a human being, they all have the same basic look. It's those two squiggly lines that you probably saw on the internet at some point, two squiggly lines going against each other. Make an X. Keep going. The difference between them, if it's a monkey or a human being, is the amount of chromosomes and acids that are within that DNA. So you asked this computer program and he wanted to find out, what if I take those two lines, which is the foundation, like a building has a foundation, has four corners. So he says, what if I take those corners and I break them apart? Can it stand by itself? And after research, the computer program responded in saying, no, the subject will explode. Meaning it cannot live, it cannot survive. Without those two lines being together, it cannot survive. So that means that to keep them together is very important. So the next question is, naturally, what's keeping them together? So in the DNA, there's something called ACTG, which is acids. Khumsa. So he said, what's keeping them together? And the computer program responds after analysis, and it says, every so often, meaning every several acids, every several ACTGs, there is a bridge made of sulfur, which is gaflit, that connects the DNA. That's what's connecting the DNA. So, okay, so we have this bridge. Bridge is very important. It's not like the Verrazano Bridge, where if you don't want to pay $16 for the Verrazano Bridge, you go to the other one, you pay $14 and save $2. This one is the only way in. So now the next big question is, how often is every so often? Is there a sequence? Is there some type of way that you could put some math into this and see that there's some intelligent design behind this bridge? Because obviously this bridge is really important. So what if, we know the bridge has to exist. We want to know, is this bridge random? Is it one day it's over here, the next day it's over here? Or is there some type of sequence to this? Some type of intelligent design? And the computer program responds, yes, there is a sequence. It's every 10th acid. And then after that it's every 5th. And then after that it's every 6th. And then after that it's every 5. 10, 5, 6, 5, 10, 5, 6, 5, forever. 10, 5, 6, 5, 10, 5, 6, 5. And if you haven't caught on yet, in the Hebrew language, every letter has a numerical value. 10 is Yud. 5 is Hey. 6 is Vav. And 5 again is Hey. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey. That's God's name. Only in the Hebrew language. Not in English, not in Spanish, not in Chinese, not in Arabic, nothing else. The Hebrew language, the language that He created the world. Hashem wrote His name inside your DNA. Just like an artist wants to make sure that you know that he painted this painting, Hashem did the same thing.
Oh my God.
It's in your DNA. So when somebody says, where is God? Where is God? Just look in the mirror.
This inside is everyone.
Inside every part.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Every being.
But why God is upset, you say in the beginning?
We're going to get back to that.
Okay.
Good question. Keep asking the questions. So God said, I wrote my name inside your DNA, Habibi. If you're asking where is God, I wrote it in there. When people say, where was God during the Holocaust? He did it. What do you mean, where is God? He was right there. Where was God during Mitzrayim, which was much worse than the Holocaust? He was right there. Where was God during all the worst things that happened, the things that happened in Spain and the things that happened in all the other countries around the world, and the constant death and the constant bad? He was there. He's the one that did it. Why did He do it? Because we didn't follow half the Torah. So now we go back to the same question. Why is God so upset if we buy an idol from Chinatown for $5, Buddha statue, we put it in the middle of our house, or we put it in our office? Why does God care so much? Because God is showing you that He's everything. Meaning everything, not everything, just everything you have. Whether it's your parnasah, whether it's your wife or your husband, whether it's your kids, whether you're able to breathe, whether the DNA is going to work the right way or not, whether the bridge is going to break, chas v'shalom, creates a lot of problems. Subject will explode. He's telling you He's everything. He's the moon. He's the creator of the moon. He's the creator of the sun, the galaxies, everything and anything. The secret part of the Torah says that He's literally everything, including all of you. Meaning that we are just something that's a part of His own creation of Himself. There is no individuality. Where eventually at the end of times, after Olam Haba, you have the Mashiach, then you have some time still staying in this earth, then you have Olam Haba, and then after all the tikkunim of all the souls that didn't finish their tikkun in this world, they go up and they get fixed through a lot of tough times, to say the least. And then eventually all of the souls go back to the source. They go back to God. That peace that He gave Adam goes back. And that's the ultimate good. So He's everything. So now, the statue, on the other hand, is nothing. It's not even Hashem's creation. It's Hashem's creation's creation. Hashem created man. Man created the statue. Hashem does everything. The statue does nothing. Doesn't speak, doesn't hear, doesn't talk, doesn't eat, doesn't smell, nothing. And it's the lowest form of creation. Because it's His creation's creation. So you've replaced everything with nothing. It couldn't be a bigger chutzpah.
But why he's upset if he's not?
Because it's a chutzpah.
Scared for him.
So I explain to you like this.
It's nothing.
I'll explain to you like this. Let's say someone was about to get married. And the groom has a few dollars and he wants to really show off to this bride in front of everyone. So he buys a big, big present. And the bride opens the present and she says, there's another wrapping. And there's another one. And there's another one. And there's another one. And he sees they put a lot of work into this. It's a really nice present. Wow, there must be something really special inside. Right? So another wrapper, another wrapper. And at the end, she finally opens the box after 20 minutes of opening up the wrapper. She put a lot of work into this. And it's pretty. And everyone's saying, oh, wow, what's going to be? Everybody's really excited about this present.
Yeah.
And eventually she sees the most amazing diamond that ever existed. It's 1,000,000 carats, whatever you want to call it. Something everyone would love. Something that everyone always ever wanted. It's the most beautiful diamond in the world. And the bride looks at it. She picks it up. And she throws it out in his face. Should she get married? Should he still be with her?
No.
Why?
Because
Chutzpah.
chutzpah.
Same thing.
More than chutzpah.
More than chutzpah. And that's just for a diamond.
Yeah.
So Hashem gave you the heaven, gave you the earth, gave you yourself, gave you your kids, gave you a husband, gave you everything you have.
Yeah.
And we say, no, I don't want this everything. I don't want this diamond. I want something I made. I made for $5. I bought it from Chinatown. I like it better. It's the biggest chutzpah it could be. So now, Baruch Hashem, nobody here has a Buddha statue, I hope, in their house, or hopefully nobody in their house has that's watching this on YouTube. But why do I mention idol worship? Hopefully they don't. A lot of people have it for some reason. They think it's nice. I don't know why a fat person made of gold is nice, but Yetzirah has a lot of interesting things to do. Convincing ways. So now, why do I mention idol worship? Because every time you see in the Torah, every time you see idol worship, what's right next to it? Shabbat. Hashem, every time He's saying that He's going to punish the idol worshippers, right next to it He's saying He's punishing the people that violate Shabbat. Every time. He's saying that anyone that's violating idol worship is the same thing as someone's violating Shabbat. Same thing. Someone that drives their car on Shabbat, or smokes a cigarette, or turns on the light on purpose, or violates Shabbat on purpose. It's the same thing as the guy that's bowing to the statue every day and praying to him like it's Buddha. Same thing. In Hashem's eyes, it's the same thing. Why it's the same thing? Because if we go back to some of the things we learned in last week's shiur, we said that Hashem, in Parashat Bereshit, He created the heaven and the earth, He created the stars, He gave you the exact number of stars. He gave you the sun, that if it's 1 degree closer to us would burn the earth. If it's 1 degree further to us, we're gonna all freeze to death. He created a solar system so perfect that the earth is the only thing that's out of line with the rest of the planets. He created a world where every day you can see a miracle. It's called rain. Rain. Nobody thinks rain is a miracle. No one thinks of rain. Okay, rain, natural rain. Rain falls. What's the big deal of rain? Do you know that rain, when it falls, no one thinks it's a miracle because they're used to it. But if they actually think about it, rain drops and no two drops ever touch. So all the way from the sky, tens of thousands of feet above us, there's a cloud that's holding all this water. And the water drops, and it's all by drops, little drops, individual drops. But no two drops ever touch each other. Ever. Until they get to the floor, they never touch each other.
Wow.
They never combine.
No.
Why is this such a big deal?
Even if it's windy?
Even if it's windy. Hashem can handle the wind too.
Oh my God.
What's the big deal? What's the big deal if 2 water drops touch? What's the big deal?
Lightning. It creates lightning or?
No. Lightning is something completely different. Just the water. Just the water. Just the water drops from the cloud, and until it reaches the ground, or it reaches our head if it falls on our head, it does not meet another drop, ever. What is the big deal of that? That is,
Really, I can't.
this is all in the books. Now you can read it, you can see the same thing.
To understand is so good.
So here's the thing, what's the big deal of this? The big deal is that if 2 drops connected, then that means that 3 drops can connect. And if 3 drops connect, that means 4 drops can connect. And if 4 drops can connect, we can create a puddle. And imagine if you were sitting there, taking your coffee, you're about to go to work, and a giant puddle of water drops from 30,000 feet on your head. Chas v'shalom, you're dead on the spot. Hell also kills. Yeah, they kill. Why are they so big? Of course, they're meant to. If they're used for that, they're meant to. As a matter of fact, you remind me of a good story. One of the most important things we talked on Shabbat is it talks about Yirat Shamayim. The most important thing that someone has to have is Yirat Shamayim. Fear of God. More important than belief in God. How do we know? After Am Yisrael crossed the Sea of Reeds, Yam Suf, the Torah says, and Am Yisrael feared Hashem, and they believed in Him, and in His servant Moshe. So first it says they feared, and then they believed. Why? Because in order for us to believe in Him, we have to understand to some extent what He is. And if we understand what He is, then of course we're going to be scared. He's everything. Right? So now, how in the Torah, one of the things that the Torah teaches us is the language, the holy language of Hebrew. During the 10 plagues, Moshe came to Paro and he told him, Hashem is going to bring hail. Barad. He's going to bring hail, and whoever stays inside is going to be saved. He's not going to die. But whoever goes outside will die. Whether it's an animal or a person, they're going to die. So after that it says the verse, and those Ele she'eru et Hashem, those that feared God, stayed inside. Ve'elu shelo samu lev, metu. Those that didn't put their heart, meaning didn't pay attention, lo samu lev means didn't pay attention, died. So here we learn what is the opposite of Yirat Shamayim. In Torah it tells you everything has an opposite. Black, white. Tall, short, fat, skinny. Rasha, tzaddik. Yirat Shamayim. If I ask you what's the opposite of Yirat Shamayim, what's the opposite of fear of Hashem, you would naturally say lack of fear of Hashem, no fear of Hashem. But no, Torah says no. Those that feared Hashem stayed inside. But those that didn't pay attention, meaning didn't pay attention to the details, went outside. Meaning that the opposite of Yirat Shamayim, the opposite of fear of Hashem, is someone that's not paying attention to the details. There's no way that you would not fear Hashem if you actually knew the details. If you actually paid attention to the rain, to the sun, to the miracles inside you, to the miracles that you look in the mirror, to everything that takes to operate just your body. If you think about your own body, just your brain has miniature wiring, veins, tiny little veins in your brain. If you take those veins and separate, take them, it's pretty much one big ball of veins. That's what your brain is. If you unravel it and take all of these veins, you can go from Earth to the moon several times over. I think it's 3 or 4 times over. Meaning it's more veins in one brain of the stupidest guy in the world than all of the AT&Ts and Verizon Wireless and all the computers and Microsofts in the world. Just one brain. Doesn't take a smart guy. Just a regular brain. Has more wiring in it than all the computers in the world. So Hashem says, if you don't fear me, that means you don't know this stuff. That means you're not paying attention. That means that you're still thinking that this idol is going to do something for you. That means that maybe because you bought this red string from some baba in the middle of town that sold you for $25 and told you it's a big Kabbalistic strength, you believe in him. You don't believe in me. You're looking for shortcuts. You're not looking for the main thing. You're not looking for the source. There's a lot of nonsense in the world. By the way, has anyone that ever heard of these red strings? There's no Torah value to it whatsoever. It has zero connection. All it has is a big market value for the guy that sells it to you. That's it. It has zero Torah value. Yeah. Could be anywhere. Could be, on top of the wall, on the side of the wall, means nothing. There's market. There's just because somebody has a beard doesn't mean they're a rabbi. Osama bin Laden also had a beard. כן, it's called חילול השם, מה לעשות?
הרבה בבות כאלה, יש עוד בבות.
אבל יש כאלה שמאמינים,
הרבה מאמינים. אבל מי...
הרב ילך על זה.
Right, but here's the thing. Who has the bigger problem? The guy that sells it or the guy that buys it? No, the guy that buys it. The guy that buys it has a bigger problem.
The guy who told that he'll be millionaire.
No.
What he say, like, he may sell it, he's stealing his life. No?
Okay, he's lying. You're right.
Okay.
Right, here's the thing. He's the guy that sells it is a liar, is a thief. 100%. He's going to have his cheshbon and shamayim. But maybe he's keeping Shabbat. Maybe he's doing tefillin. Maybe he's doing other mitzvot, but he makes this one avera. The guy that's buying it usually is not keeping anything. The guy that's buying it is looking for a shortcut. He says, no, son, Shabbat too much for me. Yom Kippur too much for me. Kosher, sometimes. When I'm in the house, yes. When I'm outside, no. If it's pizza, no. If it's hamburger, maybe. The guy that's buying it is usually looking for a shortcut. He's looking for a way out. He has the bigger problem because he's looking for a shortcut. Same thing with the guy that buys the statue. Because Hashem is telling us that you replaced me, the source of everything, with nothing. With absolutely nothing. And that's one of the biggest problems we have. Now, when Hashem is telling you that Shabbat is the equivalent of idol worship, there's several verses that talk about it. What most people that don't know this, unfortunately, don't keep Shabbat. One of the things that in Parashat Ki Tisa, Hashem is telling us that someone that violates Shabbat he's telling you outright what his opinion is. So it's not a rabbi that told us this. It's not a possible understanding or that could be wrong. It's not anything like that. There's two really good examples. There's many of them. It's mentioned in the Torah more than anything else, Shabbat. But there's two really, really critical examples that we need to know. Because again, sometimes even if you're keeping Shabbat, you need something to strengthen you. Sometimes even if you're keeping Shabbat, you don't really feel like it. You don't really feel like it. It's like, I really want to watch TV right now. I wish I wasn't keeping Shabbat. Or, you know what, the air conditioner is too high. I wish I could lower it. You don't do it, but you're thinking about it. So knowing the significance of Shabbat is even important for everyone that's keeping Shabbat. Obviously, if you're not keeping Shabbat, then it's good for you to know what Hashem's opinion is. Hashem says, someone who doesn't keep Shabbat, Mot yumat v'nichreta nefesh me'amea. Death upon death, and cut off from the nation. So let's explain what that means. Now if someone dies, they can't die twice, right? Die once, that's it. So why does it say mot yumat? Death upon death. One death is this life. Second death is in the next life, the eternal life. The olam haba, no olam haba. V'nichreta nefesh me'amea means they're not considered Jewish. Cut off from the nation. What nation do we have? Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is a Jewish nation. Someone is cut off. He's already died. So you can't say the Nichreta Nefesh Me'amea means death again. He already died twice. Died here, died there. There's no more death. So he's saying that you have, unfortunately, millions of Jews that technically, according to the Torah, are not considered Jewish. Now, of course, they could all do tshuva. They could all keep Shabbat. And if someone keeps Shabbat from this point on to the rest of their life, and they do it because they love it, they do it because they believe in it, Hashem can turn all of the Shabbatot that they missed out on into mitzvot. And on top of that, you're still going to show up to Shamayim, and they say, okay, listen, you lived in this world 50 years, 60 years, 30 years, whatever it is, you didn't keep Shabbat, there was a few Shabbats you missed, but I know the rest of your life you kept. But how did you make up for it? How did you make up for it by all those Shabbats? Technically, you still missed some Shabbat. How do you make up for it? You make other people keep Shabbat. Help other people that don't know what Shabbat is, help them keep Shabbat. Because now every Shabbat that other person keeps, it comes to your account also. So now instead of keeping one Shabbat, you kept 2 Shabbats. And if that person has married, then it's 3 Shabbats. And if they have kids, and they have 3 kids, so it's 5 Shabbats plus yours, 6 Shabbats. If you help one family, it's like every Shabbat is like 7 Shabbats for you. So you're making up for 50 years of not keeping Shabbat. But the most important thing is to know the consequence of not keeping Shabbat. As far as death in this world, you see, you're going to ask, the first question should come to your mind is, okay, somebody I know didn't keep Shabbat. He didn't die. He survived. So maybe there's a mistake in the Torah, chas v'shalom? No. So Hashem said, during the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu, when there were open miracles, people saw the words of God in Shamayim. People heard Hashem's voice. People saw miracles every day. There was food from heaven coming down every day. Imagine, every day you wake up and you have whatever you want to eat. You don't have to worry about working. Imagine you never have to do laundry. Every woman was probably excited about not doing laundry.
I like laundry actually.
You like laundry?
It's
Okay.
my relaxed time in the morning. Nobody leaves the house.
How do you
I
like
do the dish laundry.
Oh, laundry. Okay, so you're 1 in a million.
No, I have
For every klal, there's a klal.
That's my relaxed time.
So, not having to do laundry for 40 years. 40 years we're in a desert, we don't have to do laundry. 40 years we're in a desert, we don't have to go to the bathroom. Because the man is completely absorbed by a bloodstream. Completely absorbed. So you have miracles every day. But technically, we still just got the Torah. Right now we're 3,300 years, or more than 3,300 years, after the Torah. After we got the Torah. So, we shouldn't have an excuse. We have a long, long time. We should have gotten used to the Torah. But anybody that violated the Torah, at, let's say, a week after we got the Torah, if Hashem is gonna, let's say, close one of his eyes and say, you know what, I didn't see that, don't worry about it. You violate Shabbat, it's no big deal. If Hashem thought that Shabbat is not a big deal, that's the time you should do it. Right? Somebody that's already been studying Torah for 3,000 years says, listen, you have 3,000 years. You have sages upon rabbis, upon tzaddikim, and so many books. You have hundreds of thousands of books that have been written about Judaism. So by now, at some point, you read the newspaper, you can read one of my books. It says, keep Shabbat. Right? But so we say, us, we don't have an excuse. But the guy that violated it a week later, we just got the Torah. If somebody violated a week later, Hashem should say, no big deal. There was actually a story in the Torah about a person by the name of Tzlofchad. Tzlofchad was actually a tzaddik. He wasn't a rasha. He wasn't someone that was going against Hashem. But Tzlofchad took actions upon himself and he violated Shabbat. This is a week after we got the Torah. We kept one Shabbat. The second Shabbat, Tzlofchad violated Shabbat. So now Moshe Rabbeinu, this is the first violation of Shabbat. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to Hashem and he puts him in jail. He says, Hashem, what do I do with him? Now if Hashem didn't think that Shabbat's a big deal, this is the time he should say, okay, you know what? They just got the Torah, they didn't learn yet. Let him go. He's a nice guy, he's a tzaddik, he gave tzedakah, he goes to Beit Knesset, he wears tefillin, he does everything else, no big deal. This is the time he should do it. That's not what it says. Hashem responds to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he says, kill him in front of the entire nation.
Yeah, they did.
Not only kill him, but kill him in front of everyone. Tzaddik, not a rasha. Not someone that cursed Hashem, or someone that went and became friends with the Egyptians. This is someone that's righteous. And we just got the Torah. We didn't even have enough time to learn the whole thing yet. We didn't even have enough time to get to know the Torah, and he gave him the worst kind of death. There's 4 kinds of death, 4 types of punishments.
Skila.
And the last one, he got skila, he got stoned. Even if he did it for Shem Shammai.
Oh, yeah,
And everything that he did was actually to sanctify Hashem's name.
just to see what will
happen? To show the rest of the nation that Hashem is serious. That Hashem is serious about Shabbat. So now let me ask you a question. We just got the Torah. We didn't even learn all of it yet. But Tzlofchad violated the Shabbat. He turned on the television on Shabbat. He switched a few stations on Shabbat. And Hashem said, kill him in front of the entire nation. So if he didn't let him go, and he was tzaddik in everything else, he's perfect. Here, violated Shabbat. Hashem didn't give up on that. Do you think he's going to give up on somebody today? After he's had the Torah for 3,000 years, he can't say, I don't know. You watch YouTube? Okay, you can watch junk, but you can also watch Torah. You know how to read? You can read Torah. You can't have an excuse, I don't know. In today's world, there's very, very few people that can be considered tinok shenishba, meaning people that are completely unfamiliar with Judaism whatsoever. Because in today's age, there's internet, there's people who are much more open about our Judaism. It's not like back in the day, we were afraid to even wear a kippah. Yeah, maybe there's some places in the world, like France right now, that people are scared to wear a kippah, but in general, people know what Judaism is. So no one can say, no, even the Goyim know what Shabbat is. There's even a sect of Christianity, actually, right now, that started to keep Shabbat the way they understand it. It's wrong, but anyway, even Christians are starting to get to a point where they're saying, you know what, we're wrong, Shabbat is not Sunday, it's Saturday. So even the Goyim know that Shabbat exists.
7 days, so it should be 7 days.
And that's also one of the other proofs, by the way.
There's few million.
One of the
Jewish.
one of the best proofs that the Torah couldn't have come from a human being, one of the best proofs that it couldn't be written by Moshe Rabbeinu, it couldn't be written by Rabbi Akiva, it couldn't be written by me or you or any human being, is that the only reason why there are 7 days in 1 week is because of the Torah. There's no other reason whatsoever. There's no scientific reason. There's no other document. that says that there should be 7 days in a week. There's only one document that says there should be 7 days in a week, and that's the Torah. It was written a little over 3,300 years ago, and until this day, it's the only thing that everyone agrees on. Everything else everybody disagrees on. But 7 days, 24 hours, everyone agrees. So the beauty of the Torah is that there's a lot of things that we see that we all agree with. There's a lot of things that we see that it's true. There's a lot of wisdom in the Torah that shows that it had to come from a source that's far, far beyond us. When Hashem is telling you that violating the Shabbat is not a forgivable sin if you don't do tshuva, He's not joking. He's not joking. Watching TV on Shabbat, driving your car on Shabbat, playing with whatever electronic or whatever fire, it's not a joke. Someone says, you know what, maybe electricity is not the same. They didn't have electricity back then, so today it's different. Electricity is not fire. So Rabbi Mizrahi actually said something very funny but very true one time. He says, okay, let's test it. Let's test if electricity is fire. You hold a light bulb, and if you hold it for 5 minutes and you don't go on fire, then it's not electricity. Obviously, it's going to go on fire. It's fire. Electricity is fire. It's 100% fire. It's a different form of fire, but it's fire.
3,000 years, you can compare. It's very hard to make fire. צריך להביא עצים, wood, and this, you have to work very hard.
To make fire?
That's why I say sometimes.
Who said it? Why does it have to be so hard?
Right, now it's switch and that's it.
Okay, but if you know how to make fire, you can make it in 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
It's nothing. I mean, not like before.
3,000 years ago? 5 seconds you can make fire.
That's not the
No,
reason.
it's
It's not.
the reason. That's not the reason.
I know, but I'm saying to make people think that 3,000. I'm just.
tables and the chairs in Shabbat. It doesn't
Yes,
matter.
if you put the light, then you're
No,
gonna
no.
go.
זאת לא הסיבה.
Right. But here's the thing. As far as fire, first to answer the first question that is in your question, is that people think that Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael from 3,000 years ago were like cavemen. They were not like cavemen. They had some technology they had is even better than what we have today. Certain things that they had are even more advanced than what we have today. They had certain medicine. So for example, Chazal says that one of the sages had a problem with his eyes. And the eyes are very important to learn Torah. So one of the other rabbis that's familiar with medicine comes to him and he says to him, okay, I can heal you. Take this cream and put it on your eyes. He goes, no, I'm not going to put anything on my eyes. He goes, okay, take this cream and put it on the back of your head. Back of your head, over here. He goes, no. He goes, okay, take something, put it on that, and put that on the back of your head. Sleep on it. He says, okay. He slept on it. The next day he had perfect vision. We don't have that cream today. We don't have that cream today. Today, if you want to cut something, you need to use certain technology to cut it. You need big machinery, giant machinery. If you know the Western Wall, Kotel HaMa'aravi, every one of those giant stones was not cut by machines. It was cut by a little bug that we had that came out radiation out of it. Tiny little bug. There was radiation out of it and it cut every one of those stones. What's more amazing is that if you look at the size of each one of these stones, even with today's technology, we couldn't pick them up. They're so big. Not the ones on top that you see, the ones on the bottom floor. The ones on the bottom floor, even with today's technology, they don't know how they made them. They don't know how they put it together. So Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael weren't cavemen, like people say in science class and all of that. So that's one. The second thing is, that's even more important, is that fire, it's not that it's not allowed because it's hard to make. There are 39 restrictions. There are 39 things you're not allowed to do on Shabbat, because those are the 39 things they used to build the Bet HaMikdash. So Hashem says, this is something that you do during the week, but on Shabbat, I want you to rest. Why does Hashem even care about us resting? Why does Hashem take it so offensively when we violate Shabbat? Why is it the same like idol worship? We said with idol worship, you're replacing everything with nothing, right? So why is Shabbat such a big deal? Because technically Hashem created Shabbat only for us. It has nothing to do with Him. What does it mean? Hashem technically created the world in 1 second. He didn't take 6 days. It didn't take Him 6 days to make the moon. He didn't have to go call the city to get a title and get the construction company to come and make the moon and get another construction company to come, but they didn't show up, and then you got another one and they made the sun. No, he didn't need all of this. If Hashem is the same Hashem in the Torah, he's Hashem all the time, which means he's unlimited. He's unlimited. He could do whatever he wants, which means that he created everything in 1 second. But over the next 6 days, he put it in the right place. Why did he do it 6? Why didn't he just do it 1 day or 1 second? So I made the sun, I made the moon, I made stars, I made the planets, grass, tens of thousands of different animals. Why did he take 6 days? Because it says, if I give Am Yisrael, which is the purpose of creation, 1 day a week, then every day is going to be the same thing. But if I give them 6 days a week, every day is going to be different. But if I give them 7 days a week, well, on the 6 days, they could work, just like I, figuratively speaking, worked. But on the 7th day, I rested. Not rested like he went to sleep. Hashem doesn't go to sleep. Hashem doesn't rest. He doesn't need to do exercise or wake up in the morning. So Hashem says, I want to give my children, I want to give them a feeling to be like me. I want to give them a feeling to be like the king. I want to make them a part of creation. So how can they can't feel like a God. They can't create anything. So what do I give them? I give them a feeling like I had on Shabbat. What's the feeling? Of not doing it, of stopping these things that I did, this creation that I did during those 6 days. I stopped creating, so they're going to stop creating. Which in essence means that a Jew is supposed to feel like a king on Shabbat. And that's why Hashem made Shabbat. But why does Hashem take it so offensively? Why is he so angry when we violate it? Because he's saying to you, I technically created the world in 1 second, or less than a second. In no time. Hashem doesn't have time. The past, the present, the future is all the same to him. I created the world in an instant. Whatever an instant is, he created it in an instant. Right? But I minimized myself to stretch it out for you. For you to feel like me. For you to feel like you are part of creation. For you to feel like God felt on the 7th day. And instead of saying, thank you Hashem, Baruch Hashem for the Shabbat, I can't wait for the Shabbat, let me do great things for the Shabbat, and preparing for the Shabbat, what are you saying? Like that woman, Ichs, I don't want this diamond. I minimize myself, but you're not willing to minimize yourself, to stop your life. Hashem Yitbarach minimized and said, for this Jew, I minimize myself. But he's not willing to minimize himself for Shabbat and stop his job, or stop his television, or stop anything else that he's doing. And that is very, very offensive. You have a question?
What about people, let's say a person that's not raised in a Jewish, religious family, no Shabbat, no holidays, and let's say a person is going to die, he's going to be punished because he didn't keep Shabbat?
100%.
Why?
Because he didn't keep Shabbat.
But because he didn't know about Shabbat. Let's say a person didn't know about Shabbat.
What do you mean? He lives in an island by himself?
Or let's say he lived, let's say in Russia, then they weren't allowed to do Shabbat.
There are some people that are considered Tinok Shenishba, which is people that don't even know what Judaism is.
Yes, so.
And we're not allowed to practice it, we're not allowed to learn about it, and never ever learned about Judaism. Mm-hmm. Their form of punishment is very, very different than someone who did know but just didn't care, or did know and just didn't investigate further. There's very, very few of them in the world today. Unfortunately, some people think everyone that's not religious is a Tinok Shenishba, which is not true. There's very, very few of them. Why? Because today we have the internet, we have television, you see people, you know what Judaism is. If you know that you're Jewish, that's already enough to know that there's something called Shabbat, there's something called kosher. So there's very few people that don't know. I have actually a friend that her parents, they're in their probably 90s now, they lived in Ukraine their whole life, and they honestly don't know what Judaism is. For 90 years, they didn't know what Judaism is. They knew they were Jewish, but they just came to the United States, they knew nothing. And one day she tells me, she knows, it's very interesting, what happens after you die? She asked me, what happens after you die? She's 90 years old, she's going to die soon. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. So little by little, they're learning some things. Now, obviously, she can't become, Rabbi Akiva's wife, Rachel, overnight, but she got to a point where Hashem is going to show her, put her in a situation where she has the ability to learn what is Judaism, what is Shabbat, what is everything else. But either way, most people have an opportunity to learn what Judaism is. So, why does everybody violate Shabbat, or so many people violate Shabbat? There's only two reasons. One, they don't believe. There's something called Torah, but they don't believe it's true. Even if they read parts of it, they don't believe it's true. Or two, they don't know. They don't know the significance of Shabbat. They think Shabbat is a nice day. Some people that wear black and white and look a little weird and have beards sometimes, they keep it, but it's not for me. It's not for me. So they don't know. They don't know that Shabbat is the same thing as idol worship. Shabbat is the worst, violating Shabbat is the worst sin in Judaism. Meaning, to explain it even further, it's against our logic. So you have to hear me right. Violating Shabbat is worse than murder.
Wow.
So if there's a guy working for the mafia, and every week he kills somebody. Every week he gets $25,000 to kill somebody. But he keeps Shabbat. He's in a better condition than the guy that violates Shabbat every week and doesn't kill anyone. Why? Because we have it from the 10 Commandments. Number 4th commandment, right after idol worship, is Shabbat. Number 6 is murder. It's all in order of importance. Even though they're all important, there's a significance. So Hashem takes it very, very personally when someone is violating Shabbat. Because when you're murdering somebody, Hashem is saying, okay, you don't respect me, but you also don't respect anybody else. That's why you're killing people. But with Shabbat, you're specifically not respecting me, but you're still scared. If the cop has his lights on, if he sees you speeding, you're scared of him. But me, you're not scared of. That's a disrespect. It's chutzpah.
Not afraid of God more than the police.
Right. So at least with the guy that murders or the guy that steals, he doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't respect anyone. So Hashem says, okay, you don't respect me, you don't respect them. Okay, say that. What are you going to do? But the guy that's just purely violates Shabbat, but he's nice to everyone, he doesn't steal, he doesn't murder, he's scared what people think of him, he's scared to make sure that he wears a brand new suit every time he goes to a wedding, he's scared to make sure that, he pays his bills on time, he's scared to make sure that, the cop doesn't see me speeding, he's scared for what people think of him. So Hashem says, wait a minute, all these creations that I have, all these little people that Hashem created, you're scared of them, but you're not scared of me? That's a chutzpah zot. So that's the thing. So that's why Hashem takes it very personally when someone is violating Shabbat. And unfortunately, not many rabbis. Rabbi Zev Baruch Hashem is Ish Emet, and he says everything the truth, and he says something he says exactly what the Torah says. That's why this Keilah is very, very fortunate. They don't even realize how fortunate they are to have Rabbi Zev. And I'm not saying this because I compliment rabbis on a regular basis. I have 50 videos up online on YouTube, and you can see there's maybe once I've complimented another rabbi, which is Rabbi Mizrahi, or my cousin in Israel, Rabbi Ephraim Kachlon. Generally, I don't compliment rabbis. Why? Because you don't meet that many of them that are Ish Emet, that are really honest people. With Rabbi Zev, he's not only an Ish Emet, the wisdom that he has, everything I'm teaching you right now, you think it's new? He learned it 40 years ago already. 40 years ago, everything that I'm telling you right now, he already knew 40 years ago. There's nothing I can teach you that he didn't already learn and can teach you 5 times over. The problem is no one wants to pay attention sometimes. So, with somebody like Rabbi Zev, it's like having a diamond but thinking it's a rock, not knowing it's a diamond. There's a guy, is a poor little guy, who found a rock. Okay, let me put it on the shelf. He doesn't realize it's a diamond, but he has it in his house. And every day he's praying to Hashem, please give me parnasah, please give me parnasah. The next day, Hashem, please give me parnasah, give me parnasah. Hashem, please give me parnasah. I can't pay my bills, my kids can't pay for yeshiva. Hashem, I can't pay for kosher food. Please give me parnasah. He has $100 million diamond sitting right next to his siddur. That's Rabbi Zev. You have a diamond in here. You just have to recognize it. That's the big thing. We have to recognize. Sometimes when you have something special, you have to make sure that people know about it. It's our job to not only tell other people to become religious, tell other people to keep Shabbat, tell other people to keep the basic, to connect to God. But sometimes we can't do it ourselves. Sometimes, Baruch Hashem, I was given the gift of gab, I could talk, and I could deliver what I learn. You learn, you'll do the same thing. But sometimes some people don't have the ability to speak. So the best thing for them to do is to introduce them to the rabbi that knows how to speak. But that says the truth. Support the people that are teaching the people. Because if you can't do it, if you don't have the ability to speak, and you tell somebody, listen, you don't keep Shabbat, mot yumat, they say, who are you, Bichlal? Go away with your mot yumat. Like you don't know how to speak to them. Who are you, Bichlal? So you have to know how to deliver the whole concept of why to keep these mitzvot. And again, the most important thing for us to have is some form of yirat shamayim. Now, yirat shamayim is something that's important, and Hashem is telling us, like I said before, He's telling us that Am Yisrael had to fear Him first before they believed in Him. So why do we need to have yirat shamayim so much? Why do we need to fear Hashem so much? Because in our world today and all throughout generations, most people spent way too much time and energy worrying about what other people think. Most women in our generation that are not modest, that are not snuat, that are not covering their hair, that are walking around half naked, that Hashem Yerachem, all the people that are violating the Torah. People know that you're not supposed to walk around half naked, but they do it anyway. Why? Because there's no fear. Because Hashem is not operating the same way that He used to. Back in the days of Tzlofchad, back in the days of Moshe Rabbeinu, because they saw all the miracles, they also saw a punishment, an immediate punishment. Someone violated Shabbat, they got punished right away. But right now we don't see miracles that we know for sure. There are plenty of miracles. We have to pay attention though. But we're not seeing Hashem's words in the sky. We're not seeing horns, and we're not seeing angels all over the place. We're not seeing, the ocean split into two. We're not seeing all of these things. So the miracles that Hashem is performing is in hiding. It's in secrecy. It's called teva. People call it nature. The interesting thing is about hateva, which is nature in Hebrew, is that it has the same numerical value as Elohim, 86. Nature and God have the same numerical value. Hateva. Hateva and Elohim has the same numerical value. So Hashem says, I'm going to hide myself in nature. You're going to call it nature, but it's really me. So, so people that don't have the fear, it's because Hashem doesn't punish us right away. Now, why doesn't Hashem punish us right away? Because if He punished us right away, like He did in the generation of Tzlofchad and Moshe Rabbeinu, He would take away our choice, our free choice. Oh, תודה רבה. תודה, שתהיי בריאה. If let's say, for example, someone smoked a cigarette on Shabbat, and immediately their head blew up. So the second guy will see him and say, whoa! Oh my God, right? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, maybe it's just a mikre. Maybe it's just coincidence. So another guy smokes a cigarette and his head blows up. After that, no one's ever smoking again. Not on Shabbat, not on any day, right? But that took away our choice. That took away our free choice. That means that we're not keeping Shabbat because Hashem said so. We're keeping Shabbat only because we're afraid. That's not the best way to keep Shabbat. Right? There's something called onik Shabbat, enjoying Shabbat. How are you going to enjoy it if you're scared? You're so scared, no one's going to want to move. People say, wait, what happened? Shabbat's here, don't move. They're not going to move, right? So Hashem said, because my miracles are not openly in front of you, then the punishment is not going to be openly in front of you. I'm going to give you more time. I'm going to show you different things. I'm going to be more patient with you. Because He also knows that our generation is getting lower and lower. So now what happens, what does it mean, mot yumat, with Shabbat? The first death means that someone that's violating Shabbat is shortening their life. If Hashem already decided how many years each one of us is going to live in the world before we came to this world. So someone that was supposed to live, let's say, 120 years, if he violates Shabbat, every time he's lowering the time. Maybe it's now 119, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 70, maybe it's 30. He's lowering his own life. Every time he violates Shabbat, he's taking away years from his life. So that's why when we have so many friends and family that are not keeping it, that's part of the reason, if we really love them, we have to tell them this. And if we don't know how to tell them, we have to give them something that maybe to give them a CD of a rabbi that says it, maybe bring them to a lecture on a Sunday night instead of the NFL, they come watch a lecture that talks about it. Whatever it is, we have to tell them. Because we love them. If we love somebody, we want them to stay alive. We don't have to die. Right? So Hashem's not kidding. So we have to tell them. We have to get them to keep Shabbat. Because that's the basic foundation of what makes you Jewish. Now, as far as removing these miracles, Hashem is giving us an opportunity to do tshuva. The beauty of tshuva is that it can make everything better. It can make your life, turn your life into something amazing. But Hashem also knows the future. And Hashem also knows that each person has a full potential. Now, to get to your full potential, and let's say at work, let's say you're going to be an investment banker, or an architect, or an artist, or something else, over time you're going to get better at what you do. So if you start today, let's say as an architect, you're level 1. After 20 years, you're level 10. You're really good. So to get to your full potential, it took you 20 years. Hashem wants every Jew to get to his full potential. But Hashem also knows, in a natural way, it's going to take him 20 years, or 15 years, or 10 years, or 50 years to get to his full potential. So he doesn't want you to waste time, because he knows right now you're 25 years old or 35 years old, and it's going to take you 10 years to get to your full potential. But he only gave you 50 years in this world. Already decided, before you came to this world, has nothing to do with your sins. 50 years you have in this world. I give you 50 years to get to your goal. But you're now 35 years old, and you have 10 years to get to your full potential. Now, I didn't bring you into this world to play video games. I didn't bring you into this world to make money. I didn't bring you into this world to have a new girlfriend every day. I didn't bring you into this world to do nothing. I brought you into the world to get to your full potential. So now, when I know that you need 10 years to get to your full potential, I need to make sure that you have 10 years. So when it gets closer and closer to age 40, because he only has 50 years, Hashem is giving you a wake-up call. He says, excuse me, you're running out of time. You need 10 years. You need 10 years. If you start wasting time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you get to the point where you're 40 years old, now you can't get to your full potential anymore.
He gives 10 more years then after that?
Why would he give you 10 more years? You're not doing what he says. You have to give him a reason.
And the chance you
So
want.
10 more years, 50
How many
becomes
chance
60.
you want?
Right, but that's the thing. We have to give Hashem a reason. So yes, he can change, but it's based on our action. Now, if we continue violating, this is one thing that we need to know. It's also important to know. It's a little hard to hear, but it's the truth. Sometimes Hashem sees that someone that he gave 50 years is going in a direction where it's impossible for him to do tshuva. He's doing so many bad things that by the time he gets to return, he gets to the point of maybe even recognizing that there is a God, he's going to run out of time already, because you only gave him 50 years. That person you could take out of the world early. Even though he gave him 50 years, you could take him early. Why? Because he wants to bring him back, so he starts all over again.
Wow.
The problem with that is that there's a gilgul, yeah. But the problem with that is that we shouldn't rely on that. It's a form of punishment. It's like saying, okay, so I'm not going to do what I want to do. So instead of going to work every day, I'm going to go to a concentration camp for a few months, and then I'm going to come back. No, it's not a good idea. Plus, also, we're not exactly we don't have an abundance of time left for the world. But as far as that person that has the 50 years, what happens to him? How does Hashem give him wake-up calls? Hashem is going to talk to you at your level. We are not Moshe Rabbeinu. Anyone that thought they were Moshe Rabbeinu before this lecture, I'm reminding you, you're not Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one that spoke to Hashem face to face. Even though he didn't see anything, he spoke to him like you and I are speaking right now. He spoke, you spoke back, and so on. Everyone else, every other prophet that we had to be in some type of sleep or some type of meditation. They weren't awake. Moshe Rabbeinu was the only one that was awake when he spoke to Hashem. So we're not Moshe Rabbeinu. So how does Hashem speak to us? Difficulties. Difficulties. Anytime we have a difficulty, that's Hashem talking to us. Someone loses money, Hashem's talking to you. Someone has a problem at home, Shlom Bayit, Hashem's talking to you. Someone has any problem, someone even goes into their pocket, and instead of picking up 25 cents, he takes 10 cents, Hashem is talking to you. Every form of difficulty is Hashem telling you, you're doing something wrong. You have to fix yourself. He's not punishing you for no reason. Even though people like to say, oh, kaparat avonot, meaning, a sacrifice for my sins. It's not, Hashem didn't bring you into this world to as a sacrifice for your sins. Sacrifice for your sins is in a different place. Much, much worse than this place. Here you came here to fix everything, to do good. You didn't come here to make sins. Kaparat avonot is not exactly something that most people understand. They think, oh yeah, so I'm suffering in this world, so Be'ezrat Hashem I'll have Gan Eden. It's not exactly like that. You have to do mitzvot to get the Gan Eden. So, when Hashem is telling you, listen, I took some money from you. It's really my money. But you feel like it's your money. That's why I took it from you. You feel it's your money. It's really my money. So I took it from you. When you realize that it's my money, maybe I'll give it back. I took some money from you because you think that you're the one that controls the income. So you work on Shabbat. Shabbat's my Shabbat. The money's my money also. You're mine also. So I'm going to take some stuff to remind you that you're mine. Someone has a sickness. Remind you. There's a good story that became famous about 15 years ago in Tel Aviv. There was a guy that became very successful in Israel, 15, maybe 20 years ago. Made $3 million, which in Israel is a lot of money. Made $3 million. He had $3 million of investable money. So he decided that he's going to invest it. So he goes, there was 2 big towers in Tel Aviv that were being built. And he went to see the building. He went to the 17th floor. And they told him, listen, you can buy the entire 17th floor for $3 million. And he looks, he goes, it's not for me. It's nice, but it's not for me. Okay, Beseda. So he goes home, he gets a phone call from somebody he went to school with a long time ago. This guy lives in Romania. And he says to him, listen, I got the right investment for you. He says, what? This lot of land in Romania, it's $3 million exactly. And if you buy it, I'm telling you, the government's going to buy it from you. For a lot of money, they're going to develop it, all these promises. He says, you know what, land in Romania, Tel Aviv, let me go to Romania. He gives $3 million, he buys $3 million worth of land that he's never seen in Romania. Said that. Every couple of weeks, he calls the broker, the guy that sold it to him, but he stopped answering the phone. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, a year. He's not answering the phone. Now all of a sudden he's thinking that he would have sold this land already, but he didn't sell the land. So he realized, okay, this guy scammed me. The $3 million is gone. I don't have any other money coming in now. I have a lot of problems. So one day, after a little over a year, he gets a letter from the Israeli IRS, Mas Haknasa. And it's a little bit different than America, where over there, if you owe money, they come to your house, they take stuff. It's not like America, they send you a bill for 5 years before they send you to a collection agency. So they said, if you don't come up with $17,000 or $25,000 for not doing your accounting the right way, Ma'aklim lechat habayit. We're going to come to your house, we're going to empty out everything. So now, for the last few months that he hasn't made any money, he's been borrowing from people, because everybody thought he has money. But now after a few months, they know he doesn't have money. He's not paying back. So where am I going to borrow this money? He finds out from somebody there's a place in Tel Aviv just opened up that I could borrow money from. Where is it? On the 17th floor of the building that he was supposed to buy. The floor. So he goes over there. It's a hard money lender. Well, hard money means hard interest. Sharks, 30% interest. What is he going to do? He has no choice to either give up his stuff in his house or 30% interest. So he goes there. They gave him 25. They gave him 25,000, and he's miserable. He leaves the office and he's like, I was supposed to own this. They were supposed to be my tenant. Now I have to pay them 30%. Busha. He said, you know what? At least I'm in this building. Let me see what the rest of this building. He opens the door. He says, oh, this goes to the roof. It was the top floor. So he goes to the roof and he looks and he cries a little bit for himself. And he says, I can't believe it. He tries to leave the roof, but he didn't realize it was an unfinished building. So there's only a lock on the inside. He can't get out. Oh, so what is it?
אני יודעת זה, אני קראתי את זה. דרך אגב, אחותי רבנית בארץ בירושלים.
אוקיי.
אז מה שקורה, אני בדיוק באתי עם ספרים שבעלה עשה.
אוקיי.
זה אני לא יודעת, שכחתי זה, יש לי את זה בחנות דווקא.
כן, it's a good story.
מאוד יפה.
So what happened is that he goes and he sits on the roof. He can't, right now in Israel it's very, very hot. It's not, it's 100 and something degrees. He's on the roof, he's burning up, he thinks he's going to die. He says, okay, you know what, if I throw a $100 bill, somebody's going to pick it up, and, they're going to look up. So he throws a $100 bill, the guy finds it on the floor, runs away, doesn't look up. So, okay, $100 is not enough, I need to get a few people to pick it up. He takes $500, he throws $500. $500 lands, 5 people, grab it, run away. No, before anybody else notices that he took the money, they're not looking up. They just pick it up, they run away. He gets so mad, he takes the entire $25,000 and he throws it into the air. Everything lands, bunch of people gather up like mice with cheese. They all take the money, no one looks up, and everyone runs away. Now he has no money, and he's still stuck on the same roof, dying.
17th floor.
So he starts crying, and he's like, I'm going to die on this roof. No one, 17 floors. What am I going to do? He's sitting down crying. He looks to his right and he sees there's a bucket of small rocks, chatzatz. There's a bucket over there. He didn't see it before. So he's like, you know what? Maybe if I throw rocks. So he takes one of the rocks and he throws it. It hits somebody in the head. The guy looks at him, starts yelling at him. You can't hear him. He's yelling at him. He's on top. Yeah, he's like, yeah, exactly. So you know what? He takes a handful of rocks and he throws it at him again just to make sure.
Yeah.
It hits a few people. So obviously they're going to call the cops. The cops come, they open the roof, and he tells them the story. And I said, your story is so strange, there's no way you would have made it up. Fine, they take him home. So he gets home, and he can't believe what just happened. He lost the $25,000, but even more than that, he's like, I don't understand. I threw $25,000 in the middle of the street, and no one looked up. Didn't anybody ever think where it's coming from? Why, it just appears in the middle of the street, 25,000? No one thought, oh, maybe somebody's throwing it? But as soon as I threw a small rock, everybody calls the cops. And that's when he realized it's the same thing like me. When I was making money, I didn't ask where it's coming from. I thought I was making it. But as soon as the guy stopped picking up the phone, and I started having some problems and masach nasa coming to my house potentially in a few days, that's when I looked at Shemaim and said, Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why are you throwing rocks at me? He said, from now on I have to find out what this Judaism stuff is. I heard about it. I have to find out. And he says, the day he did this, the day he said this, he got a fax from the guy from Romania. He got a fax from the guy from Romania, and he told him, call me as soon as possible. He calls the guy. After cursing him for 20 minutes, the guy from Romania for not picking up the phone for over a year, the guy says to him, are you finished? He goes, yes. He goes, okay, well, the government is buying your land for like $30 million.
Yeah.
Not everyone has siyata dishmaya like this, where they get instant results like this, but I guess he had a certain schut. The point is that as soon as he recognized the source gave him more. And that's some of the things that people don't understand. Some people say, listen, I don't have to worry about mo panasa. I'm making already money. I'm making $50,000 a month. I'm making $20,000 a month. I'm making $100,000 a month. Okay, and I don't keep any mitzvot. They don't realize that if they actually kept mitzvot, maybe they make $1 million a month. Maybe they make $1 billion. People don't know the full potential. And that's the problem. If we do what Hashem says, He will do what we want. Aseh et retzono kiretzoncha v'yaseh et retzoncha kiretzono. Make His will into your will, and He will make your will into His will. And that's the key of what we want to learn here. Shabbat is the core of what makes you Jewish. Someone that doesn't understand how bad it is to violate Shabbat, just think about how bad it is to be an idol worshiper. It's the same thing in the Torah. As far as proofs, that's last week's shiur. We worked on a lot of them. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is something to truly think about. This is something for people at home because Baruch Hashem, everybody's modest here. But something to really think about. Hashem told us, and through Chazal, that you can learn something from everything. Every one of His creations, you can learn one of His mitzvot. So I have here a picture, if anyone wants to come pick it up and pass it around, of some fruits. Yeah, give it to everybody.
There's only 4, so we're going to share it.
Yeah. What can we possibly learn from a fruit? What can we learn from a fruit, right? It's tasty most of the time. What can we learn from a fruit, right? Now, if you want to see the most beautiful part of a fruit, you have to cut it in half and you see the entire fruit, right? The outside of the fruit is the peel. Then you have the body of the fruit, and then you have a shell, and then you have the seeds. If you want to see all of it, you cut it in half and you see how beautiful it is, how beautiful the creation is, how perfect it is. But this is where we learn about what Hashem is expecting from a person, both a man and a woman. When you cut it in half, you see all parts of a human being. The peel is the clothing. The body of the fruit is the body, flesh. The shell that's protecting the seeds is the bones. And the seeds is the neshama. Now what happens if you take an apple and you take a bite into it, but then you leave it on the table? Turns black, right? Or brown. What is the apple trying to teach us? Apple's trying to teach us, Hashem brought me into this world to have my clothes on. As soon as you took a bite into me, you showed my body to the rest of the world. I'm looking at Hashem, I'm very shy. I'm not supposed to show my body to the rest of the world. So it turns brown because it's shy. It turns brown because it's not supposed to show his skin to the rest of the world. Same thing with a human being. A human being is not supposed to make their skin public property. We're not supposed to go on a beach with our bikinis and with our bathing suits and walk around like the Goyim walk around. We're not supposed to be the Greeks. The main thing we have to learn from this is that when we get to Shamayim, Hashem is going to ask us, are you better than a fruit? I made a fruit and I made you. Are you better than a fruit? And you're going to say, yeah, of course, I have a brain. And Hashem says, okay, then how come the fruit was smart enough to be embarrassed when you took off its clothing, but you weren't? And that's one of the things we have to learn, not only to teach ourselves, teach our children, teach our friends. Hashem hates zima. Hashem hates promiscuity, show off, and that type of behavior. So we have 3 critical lessons of today. Baruch Hashem, hopefully we take something on ourselves, we teach some people. But Be'ezrat Hashem, unless you guys have any questions, Be'ezrat Hashem will learn maybe one more time during Yom Kippur. But if you have any questions, I think this is probably the most important lessons that we can learn on and take on right before Yom Kippur, Yom Adin.
It's long time, it takes so
Go, have time. Ask.
No, money,
Shani.
אמרתי לך, אני דתייה הייתי, אני למדתי בספר דתיים, אני אוהבת את הדת, אני אוהבת את התורה, אני believe God, אבל השבת פשוט קשה לי. אני באתי מבית דתי גם, very religious, you know, but to keep Shabbat is really very hard.
Why?
Because I
What do you do on Shabbat?
Time is, it looks to me like the light. What's wrong with the light now? 3,000, 4,000 here is different.
Okay.
What's happened with I drive car to come to the shul.
You're lighting a fire.
So what?
Hashem specifically says don't light a fire.
Good person inside.
That's not what the Torah
It's
says.
number one.
Right.
You have to be a very nice guy. You have to be to help the people.
אם אתה רוצה, כן, בכבוד. בכבוד.
כן, אבל בזה אני לא מוצאת.
בכבוד, תודה רבה שבאתם.
No, it's not question.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so let me answer your question.
It's a good question. I think it's a good question.
It's a very good question.
You know, and that's why
I have an answer. I have an answer. Okay. So here's the thing.
that's what he needs.
You're saying,
After 4,000 years, I think something you have to change.
so here's the thing. As far as Shabbat, לא, תשאיר את זה on, אני עוד מקליט. תשאיר את זה את המנורות. לא, אני עוד מקליט.
זה מזגן.
מזגן, לא בסדר. As far as Shabbat, Hashem specifically says there are certain rules for Shabbat. There's 39 things we're not allowed to do, and you can do everything else. There's thousands of things you can do on Shabbat. There's thousands of things you can do on Shabbat, but there's 39 things you're not allowed to do. So Hashem is saying, you're not doing them, not because of any other reason other than the fact that He told you so. That's it. That's the real reason. To keep any mitzvah is because He said so. So who are we to say, Hashem, who are you to tell us? He's Hashem. He says don't light fire, we don't light fire. He's Hashem. If He wants in a second, we don't have life. If He wants in a second, we don't have parnasah. If He wants in a second, a lot of things. So if He created everything for us, thank you. If He created everything for us to do something for Him that's minuscule, like not turning on the car, not turning on the light, it's something small in comparison. That's why He takes it so personally when we don't do it, because He's doing a billion things for us every second. Every second that our body works, we need all of the cells to work. All the cells inside our body.
I have to talk to Him to change to God.
Said. So here's the second thing. The second thing that's even more about the second thing you said about the nice person. Nice person. How do we know? Said. But how do we know how we know?
Like this is, I think it's very, very number one. I think, but
Said.
if you drive car or she do this, I think there's nothing wrong with this. I think the time is have to change something there.
Okay, but here's the thing: the Torah has to stay the same because it's divine. It's not from a person; it's from God. So if it's from God, that means that when He gave it, it was perfect. No, we have the answers. We have the answers.
No, דרך אגב, now, I hear, הייתה כתבה בטלוויזיה, now he makes something electric special.
Ken.
You hear about
Ken,
this?
Ken, it's called there's ways.
Really? I hear.
Kosher switch it's called. Kosher switch.
תוכנית על הדתיים, now הם עושים...
Kosher switch, calling it.
Exactly, kosher switch, I call kosher switch.
But not because you're turning it on and off, it turns off by itself.
I think it's working by itself, he makes something to
But
work.
here's the thing. The most important thing is that we have to know is that we don't know what's nice. Meaning, how do we know what's a good person? Hitler also thought he was a good person. Okay, God wrote it in the book.
everything for not to know.
Okay, so...
קודם כל צדקה והכל עושים בסדר.
כן.
נכון? אסור לדבר.
כן.
ברגע שאתה מדבר,
$100.
המצווה מתבטלת, זה בטלה. אז עושים
מפסיד,
בסדר.
לא בטלה, מפסיד הרבה מהשכר.
זה לא טוב, כן. אז מה, אתה עושה את זה מהלב, לא בשביל משהו, להשוויץ, להגיד, או, עשיתי. doesn't make sense. I make everything for God.
כן, כן, 100%.
Well, God watch me.
100%.
And I believe him. And I love him.
Okay, so if you
But
love him,
the problem,
you have to keep what he says.
this is my sister, she
But here's the thing.
She can't talk to me about nothing.
כן. זה לפעמים קשה בגלל
You have to
שזה
understand.
האחות.
Exactly.
זה בא ממקום הכי קשה. כאילו אני ולהגיד לאח שלי יותר קשה לי להגיד לך.
Crazy, just you have to keep Shabbat, you have to keep Shabbat.
זה המקור של התורה.
You have to keep Shabbat. Rosh Hashanah, you know Rosh Hashanah, what is that? You have to go to בית הכנסת. This is better.
בוא נסביר לך משהו.
My sister.
אנחנו, אין לנו מושג מה זה טוב. בני אדם אין להם מושג. אני אסביר לך למה. לא, אני אגיד לך למה.
אבל יש בזה קשיים.
באנו לחיים לא בשביל גן עדן, באנו לחיים בשביל הקשיים. אנחנו לא באנו פה בשביל ליהנות, לא באנו לעולם בשביל לעשות מנגה לכל יום. לא לסבול, אבל יש לנו עבודה. בן אדם הולך לעבודה בשביל מה? בשביל לעשות כיף? לא, בשביל לעבוד. אנחנו באנו לעולם הזה לעבוד. עכשיו, כל הקשיים האלה, זה רק קשיים בגלל שאת חושבת שזה יהיה קשה, אבל תוך כדי זמן תראי שאם את ממש מעריכה את השבת ואת חוגגת את השבת, זה נהיה כיף.
אני למדתי בספר חב"ד.
אז אדרבה.
ההפך, בגלל שאת למד, אז יש לך את זה.
אני יודעת שיש לי.
אז למה את מפחדת שזה
אני לא, קשה לי היום.
זה יצר הרע.
צריכה לשנות את השבת.
יצר הרע.
בדיוק.
זה יצר הרע.
אבל יצר...
למה? אני אוהבת לצאת, אני אוהבת...
אבל זה כיף.
אבל את יכולה לעשות את זה בסנדה.
זה כיף פה לבוא לבית
את יכולה לעשות...
להתלבש, את באה רואה אנשים. אני גם הייתי עושה את זה לפי 20.
מה זה למשל אסור מכנסיים?
בגלל שזה...
לעשות צניעות.
Because you are attracting wrong people.
גם כשהייתי בבית ספר, הייתי לובשת בחורף מכנסיים.
ואז זה חצאי.
ואז זה חצאי.
לילה טוב חבר'ה.
תודה רבה.
יאללה. אבל מה...